In Python, multi-level inheritance can be done at any depth. There is no limit on the number of levels to which the multi-level inheritance is achieved in Python. I'm going to say the syntax. Class 1, work semicolon right here. Then body of the base class keyword, then class 2, but in parentheses class 1 you have to write class 1 and semicolon, and body of this derived class keyword and the class 3 in parentheses class 2 and specify a semicolon and body of the derived class. So the difference between base class, derived class 1 and derived class 2 is derived class 2 has derived class 1 features and derived class 2 features, because when derived class base because if you're thinking why base class features you have to inherit, right? Because derived class is inheriting from this. So that's what derived class will inherit from base class features. It will become its features then. It's taking its features. Will it copy the same features? It won't copy. So derived class features and derived class 2 features as well. But derived class 1 features has base class features and derived class features, as it's inheriting from base class features. Base class has only its base class features, as it's not inheriting from anything, so it has its own features. I'm going to show one example of multiple inheritance. So we created a class named person details, right? And it's the base class. And again we created a class named student, but it's inherited from person details. So this is derived class 1. So this is single inheritance. But now we're doing multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance. That means so many single level inheritance will be there, multiple of them. So derived class 2, I'm going to create a derived class 2. I'm going to create a class named marks inheriting from student. I'm going to create a constructor for it. The parameters as student name, student age and student ID. And I just added yes marks. Yes is a short form of student, so students marks. And now I'm invoking the constructor of the student class. Now I'm going to use this student.init and student name, student age and student ID. Now I'm going to create a method. I'm going to create a method display student marks and self parameter on it. Student.display student self. Now print student marks self.student marks. Yes marks. I'm going to create an object name M1 and its parameters Kartik 10 405 and 500. So now I'm calling the derived class 2 method. That is from class, that is class marks. So if I execute this one, it's coming student name and age Kartik, as it's calling display student marks. It has student ID, it's Kartik 10 and student marks at 500. Now let me keep this as hashtag. And now let me execute this. This is the base class method. Execute this. It executes Kartik 10 as it has class name, student name and student name as its parameters. So now let me show you another example. Multi-level inheritance 2. Class, as I said, class person details is a base class, and class student that is inheriting from person details is derived class 1. So I'm going to create another multi-level inheritance and class subjects, and it's inheriting from student. So I kept the construct. I added some two new parameters, not the student marks. It's not this here student marks, but student class and students. Here I'm going to student.init says it has a parameter student name, student age, student ID. Self of student class equals student class as it's new. So self of student subject equals to student subject. Div class details self, and class details here is the method of this class. class subject and self dot student class, self dot student subject, CL as equal Guru Sai 10 054 class computers. Here Guru Sai is the student name, then student age, student ID, student class, student subject, and CLS the class details class subjects. So here class details, so it's going to execute for class and computers first. Display ID, it will going to execute the ID next. From student display details, it will execute the name and the age. Let's see. First it will execute 4th class computers 405, Guru Sai and 10. Let's see. See, as I said. So let me execute this. So it executed 4 class computers and 405 and then Guru Sai 10. As here class detail, your class details is taking self the student's class, that is here, that is 4th class, and student subject, that is computers, so it executes here. Display ID has the student ID, so it executed that the ID is 405, and display details has the student name and student age, so it executes Guru Sai 10 as student name, 10 as student age. Now let's go to multiple inheritance. A subclass inherits from multiple parent classes. It is called a multiple inheritance, or a class can be derived from more than one base class. This type of inheritance is called multiple inheritance. In multiple inheritance, all the features of the base classes are inherited into the derived classes. So class based one. So the syntax is class and it's the class based one, and it's going to pass, will give the pass class keyword, and base 2 is going to pass, and this class multi-derived, it is taking base 1 and base 2 and it's going to give some passes. So here means that one derived class is inheriting from two base classes like mother, father, and a child. So it has base class 1 features, base class 2 features, and its features. But base class 1 has its features and base class 2 has its features even. So let me show you an example. Here I'm going to create a class in multiplication, and here creating a method named multiply and self a and b, and return a multiplied by b. So it's going to return it, will have to do that. So I'm going to create another class summation and make a method named add, and self a and b, same parameters here, and return a plus b instead of multiplication, and here it will go to add. Same class division, it will inherit summation and multiplication, and it's going to make a method named divide, and self a and b, the parameter same, and return with a divided by b. So cal is equal to division parameters. So here so this is from the division class. So here calc is an object, because you know how to create an object. Is the object name, equal operator, the name of the class, and parentheses. And going to print multiplication, calc multiply 10 20. So here means that 10 a is equal to 10, 20 is multiplied, b is equal to 20. So it's going to multiply right here, a multiplied by b. So it will come 10 multiplied by 20 is 200. Same here, division. It will come 10 divided by 5. And addition, it will add as here plus. So it will come 10 plus 20. Let me execute and what it will come. So as multiplication, because 10 multiplied by 20 is 200 and 10 divided by 20 is 0.5, and addition 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. So it executed. Now I'm going to tell you about the is subclass method. The syntax is subclass, and in here the subclass here and the superclass. The is subclass sub in here in parentheses sub or sub method is used to check the relations between the specified class. It returns true if it's the first class, it's the subclass, but if it's not a subclass, it will give false otherwise. Let me execute. Here, division and multiplication. Here, so here at the first you have to give the subclass and superclass. So let's see if the division is a child class and it's inheriting from multiplication. Let's check. The division class, summation is the child class, right? Because it's inherited and it's even inherited from summation and multiplication. So the first one, this is going to be true. But let's go to second one. Multiplication is inheriting from summation. Let's check. Multiplication is not inheriting anything. So that means it's going to give false. So the first one is true and second one is false. So it is going to execute true false. As I said here, true false. And now is instance method. Here the syntax is inside. You have to give object here and a class next. And remember to give a comma here. There in is instance method is used to check the relationship between the objects and classes. It is true if the first parameter is object, is the instance of the second parameter class. So here is in instance calc is the object and division is the class, and calc is the object of the division class. Let's check. Yeah, it's here. It's in the division class and calc is an object. So this is true. But calc is not in multiplication, so we can say so. And it's an even class right here. And to give, as I said, even here the first should be an object, the second should be a class. So here, so it will come true. See? Now let's discuss about method overriding. We want to provide some specific implementation of the parent class method in our child class. When the parent class method redefines the child class with some specific implementation, then the concept is called method overriding. We may need to perform method overriding in a scenario where a different definition of a parent class method is needed in the child class, like changing the method by inheriting that method of the parent class. So here I created a class named animal and I created a method speak and using the self. Self means the class itself and it's speaking. Here I'm going to create a class named lion. It's inheriting the animal, and here I'm taking the method speak self. So now I'm modifying it because it's as it's animal, so itself, but now I'm method overriding it. So I'm changing into lion's self. So now to speak, it belongs to the lion class, and yes, p equals lion. So it's just is in the object and sp dot speak. And here remember I get print rows. So it's going to execute rows. Let's check. See, as I said, this is called method overriding. Means changing the method of the parent class. Now let's go to the next inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance involves multiple inheritance from the same base class of parent class, or when more than one derived class is created from a single base class. So hierarchical inheritance means two derived classes. So two derived classes are inherited from one parent class. I'm going to show you an example. Let's go. So here class parents, and I'm going to create a function named function1 and self. It said this is parent class function1 and class child1, and it's inheriting from parents diff function2. I'm creating a method function2 and you self itself. Print this is child class function2, and I've created another class named child2. It's inheriting from parents, and I'm going to create a method function3 and itself self parameter. Print this is child2 class function3. So C1 equals child1, C2 equals child2, C1 dot function1, C1 dot function2, C2 dot function1, C2 dot function3. So let's check what it will execute. So C1 is an object of child1, C2 is the object of child2. So here C1 dot function1. So here it's going to be function1. This is parent class function1. It will execute this first. Then function2 it will execute this next. And C2 will execute this next. And after that it will execute this. Let's see, am I correct or not? So this is parent class function1. Then it will execute this is child1 class function2, then it will execute this is parent class function1, then it will execute this is child2 class function3. If I execute it, see, as I said, it executed. So now let's discuss about hybrid inheritance. The hybrid inheritance is a combination of more than one type of inheritance. We may use any combination as a single with multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, or inheritance consisting of multiple types of inheritance is called hybrid inheritance. So hybrid inheritance means two types of many types, multiple inheritance are formed in one type inheritance. This is called hybrid inheritance. Let me show here it. Can you see here? This is hybrid inheritance. So your child class 1 and child class 2 is inherited from one parent class. So this is a hierarchical inheritance. But child class 3 is inheriting from child class 1 and child class 2. So this is multiple inheritance. So as I said, multiple inheritance, when they are combined in one inheritance called hybrid inheritance. So here hierarchical inheritance plus a multiple inheritance is coming right here. So it's hybrid inheritance. Let me show you one example of an hybrid inheritance. I've created a class named school and function1. I've created a method named function1 and self. Print this is base class school. This is base class school function, and I created a other class named student1 school and created a method named function2 self. This function is in student1 class and class student2. It's inherited from school only. This function3 self. Print this is function is in student2 class. So here this is hierarchical inheritance. But here class student3 is inheriting from student1 and school. So I mean it's multiple inheritance. So it's Now the student 1 school inheriting, and that function for created method function for self, then this function is in student 3 class. So here there are 3 types of classes coming in here, coming in together. So multiple inheritance combined together called hybrid inheritance. So here let me say, first inheritance happening in hybrid inheritance is single level inheritance, because see right here, school simply it's a student 1 is simply inheriting from school, so it is single level inheritance, same as student 2 single level inheritance. But second is hierarchical inheritance, because 2 classes inheriting from 1 class is called hierarchical inheritance. See, student 2 and student 1 are inheriting from 1 class, school, so it's hierarchical inheritance. And student 3 is inheriting from student 1 as school class as well, so it's multiple inheritance. So the 3 types of inheritance happening here is single level, multi-level, hierarchical, multiple. So here driver's code, I'm going to create an object named object, that's in student 3 class, object of function 1. So if I execute right here, it comes. So this is the base class school function. So now let me show you another example class, my family. I created method display family self. This print, this is my family. Now my mother class is inherited from my family. So mother name, I created mother name is nothing. So display, now I'm going to create a method display mother print my mother self dot mother name. So let me give my mother name as Bindu, and now my father class inherited from my family, and father name, let me write dad, and I'm going to create a better name display father self, my father self dot father name. And my parents class inherited from my mother and father classes. So here my father and my mother inheriting from my father and mother, my parents, and I created I created a method named display parent and has written self dot father name, self dot mother name, and I'm going to create the object family equals my parents, that is object of the son class. So family dot father name Chandra, and I wrote here, so let me delete them here. So it will come, and also I mistakenly backspaced it, so deleted it. So and create family dot father name equal Chandra, family dot mother name is equal to Bindu, family dot display family parentheses, family dot display parent parentheses. So let's see what it will execute here. Display family is from which class? Is from here, and this is inheriting, my mother is inheriting from my family. So come both display parent, and here display parent self dot father name, self dot mother name. So here it will execute Chandra and Bindu, and it's a hybrid inheritance because it happens single level inheritance from my mother and my father inheriting from my family, hierarchical inheritance because both of them inherit from the same class, and multiple inheritance because my parents inherited from display my father, my mother. So 3 types of inherit came in picture right here. Let's see what it will execute. This is my family. So, and Chandra Bindu. So this is the end of our video. For now, bye bye. Bye bye.